Good news, guys. The Blue Jackets break their winning streak and the San Jose Sharks get a point, so the tank is still on. We're going to talk all about that game on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jake Foster, here to bring you news stories, the trials, the tribulations, the good, the bad, and the ugly for the Columbus Blue Jackets, your favorite team and mine, of course. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every day, or your first watch. I don't know when you are experiencing this. Hopefully it is early in the morning. I am recording this pretty late at night over here in California. Just got back from the arena, and that was both a really fun game and a really stupid game. That might be the stupidest game that I've seen in a minute. So love that for me, love that for us. The Blue Jackets managed to pick up a win, and I thought we would talk about it. Before we do, I just want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. Make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And if you had put some money on this game being a one-goal nightmare game, then you would be right. The Blue Jackets jumped out to 3-1 and 4-2 leads before it would be 5-5 at the end of regulation, and then possibly my favorite part of the game, the actual game-winning goal was scored. Somehow, Johnny Gaudreau and Patrik Laine almost managed to screw up a 2-0 against Kaapo Kähkönen. They overpassed, they panicked, I don't know what happened. Kähkönen made the save. Patrik Laine, I think, sent the puck out to Johnny Gaudreau, and he managed to put it in over a flailing Kähkönen. And it was a lot of fun, but it was also the stupidest goal in that game. And that game had a lot of stupid goals. The Logan Couture one, I thought, was particularly stupid with like 0.7 seconds left in the second period. I thought Kent Johnson's weird slow motion goal was extremely stupid. Like, they let Liam Foudy score a goal. Like, there was just lots of stupidity in that game. And honestly, I was here for it. I do want to shout out Johnny Gaudreau at the top. Let's talk about the good, and then we'll talk about the bad later on. Johnny Gaudreau had a 5-point night. He was involved on every single goal except for one, the fifth goal of the night, Liam Foudy, and then assisted by Olivier and Blankenberg. But every other goal, Gaudreau had either the goal or the primary assist. He had 3 primary assists and 2 goals. He's up to 17 goals on the season and 45 assists, which, if I can do math correctly, is 62 points. I don't think that's right. That might be right. But a really, really great game from Johnny Gaudreau, who we talked about in yesterday's episode, had been on a little bit of a cold streak. I don't necessarily think that he needed to play better, but he needed to produce a little bit more. And hey, look at that. He did just that. I thought Ken Johnson also had a really good game. Great to see him scoring. Great to see Liam Foudy get another goal. Boone Jenner is now in sole position for scoring leader on this team. He's at 22. Laine following with 21. Laine had 2 assists. Again, another really good night for Laine. He continues that point streak. It was not a great defensive night. But it was a very fun game. I'm just going to switch over to Natural Stat Trick and look at some of those, because I think that probably will tell a little bit of a better story. The Blue Jackets would end the night with 53% Corsi 4 percentage, out attempting the Sharks 78-67. So it was a pretty high event. High offense game, which, if you listen to yesterday's episode with JD Young of Locked On Sharks, we said it's either going to be everyone scores or no one scores. And apparently everyone decided to score. In terms of who else had good nights, Kirill Marchenko continues to have a good night, despite the fact that he only played 12 and a half minutes at even strength. He played 18 minutes in total, which is pretty good. Ended up having 25 attempts for and 8 against Patrik Laine. Also, that Marchenko Laine combo is pretty fun. I'm enjoying that. I do think that Laine, Roslovic, and Gaudreau is still and Kent Johnson is still probably the best that you could put together for that. But really great to see that line succeed. Really great to see the Jenner line with Gaudreau and Bemstrom succeed. Just overall, a pretty solid team performance. In terms of offense, anyway, the defense was a little bit more suspicious. Erica Branson played 24 minutes of ice time and was on the ice for 29 attempts for and 34 against. Andrew Peak was on the ice for 18 for and 32 against in his 21 minutes. They had the most ice time of any defenseman. Nick Blankenberg had just over 21 minutes, had a 56%. Corsi 4, Adam Boquist led all defensemen with 70%, and he only had 20 minutes and 33 seconds. So the D is pretty evenly spread, except Tim Burney apparently is the odd man out in this game. He only played just under 13 minutes, but for the most part, I thought it was a pretty good game. Was it great for Tarasov? Maybe not, and that's what we're going to talk about in just a minute, but for the most part, I do think this was a pretty good game. It was good to break the streak. It was good to see guys get on the score sheet. It was especially good to see Johnny Gaudreau, who I believe got the MVP Kepi. So in a minute, like I said, we'll talk about the things we didn't like so much in that game. But first, I've got to tell you about FanDuel, because it's America's #1 sportsbook. It's the perfect time to download it. The NHL is ramping up for the playoffs, so is the NBA, and new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That means that if your first bet doesn't win, you get bonus bets back up to the amount that you put in. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use. You can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers, and they've even got a same game parlay. So that means that instead of placing a bet that says, for example, the Blue Jackets are going to win and Johnny Gaudreau is going to score a goal, you can put those together and win more money in one than you would with two separate bets. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/lockedon. That's fanduel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also us, the Locked On Podcast Network. So let's talk about the goaltending, because do I think it was egregiously bad? Maybe not. Do I think it was good? That's also a big question mark. Daniil Tarasov allowed 4 goals on 24 shots, which is not great, especially when you look at the way that the goals were scored. He allowed 1 goal in high danger, 0 goals in mid, and 2 goals in low danger, plus 1 on the power play. So not a great showing for Daniil Tarasov, but considering this is his first game action in a while, I'm willing to bet that he will improve. Also, excuse me, that is 27 saves in 32 shots, not 24 on 20. Jesus, that does mean that the Sharks managed to get, like, what was it, 8 power play shots, which is, I mean, I don't know that I would let the Sharks get that many power play shots. They only scored on 1, but still. That being said, I didn't even get a chance to talk about the power play in the things that we liked. The power play is now on a 6-game streak. Johnny Gaudreau opened the scoring for the Blue Jackets with that power play goal, I believe, and it was. I'm pretty happy about it. I don't think anyone can be mad about. Well, maybe the people that think that the Blue Jackets should have lost in regulation, but Blue Jackets. Oh, they didn't score a power play goal. Excuse me. I thought that they did. They scored it with like 1 second left, maybe. The Sharks did score on the power play, so the penalty kill again continues to struggle, and face-offs continue to struggle as well. And I know that's not like a huge part of the game, but the only people with positive face-off percentages were Lane Peterson, who I think probably ended up taking like 3 face-offs, and Boone Jenner at 54%. Jack Roslovic is at 43%, and Cole Sillinger is at 27%. Patrik Laine must have taken 5 face-offs in this game, which is very funny to me, but he only won 1 of them, which is less funny. But I was like, oh, who got a 20%? Who has 20% face-off wins? Oh, it's Patrik Laine. Something's gone horribly wrong there. But like I said, for the most part, there was a lot to this game that I liked. And am I conflicted about the fact that they won the game? Maybe, maybe not. I would have liked for the tank, but also I've kind of, like I said yesterday, I've reached this weird zen where if they win, I get to enjoy a win. If they lose, then I get to enjoy the increased chance of landing Connor Bedard. So really, there is a win-win situation in every single game. I got to see a Kent Johnson goal in person. For those of you who don't know, I was at the game. My post-game reaction video up on YouTube was done inside SAP. That's the first time I've been able to see the Blue Jackets in person since before COVID, which was really exciting. And I just had a really great time. It was a really stupid game. It was a lot of fun. I don't know that any of the hockey was very good, but I had a great time anyway. And hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it at home as well. In a minute, what we're going to do to finish up is just go through the... we are just going to go through some of the other like basement teams and see how they're doing. I think most of them won tonight, so we'll check in on that in just a minute. But first, I've got to tell you about Built Bar, because now that I'm in the States, I have been ordering a ton of Built Bars. And if you are, like me, a gremlin person that exists almost entirely on like mac and cheese and fried eggs, then Built Bar is for you. Or if you are a health nut that, you know, goes on hikes and goes to the gym, then Built Bar is for you as well. It's basically a candy bar, but it has all of the macros of a really good protein bar. It's got 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. If you are keto, if you are paleo, like some of them are, you've got gluten-free options, you've got vegan options. It's really, really great. Most protein bars are terrible. Built Bar is the opposite of that. And now you don't need to wait around to order a box online. You can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Head to Walmart, pick up a 4-bar box, or Sam's Club does 13-bar boxes with a bunch of different flavors. Or you can always get them on built.com, like always. So run, don't walk to your local Walmart or Sam's Club, or go to Built online. You can thank me later. So let's check in. Obviously, the Sharks, they got a point. That was huge. Montreal beat Pittsburgh, which we love for many reasons. Chicago beat Boston, which is just hysterical. And there was Philadelphia ended up losing, which is not ideal. Arizona ended up beating Calgary, which we love. Vancouver beat Dallas. So all of the teams that are kind of hovering around the Blue Jackets in the standings, I think won. So the Blue Jackets sit still at 32nd, even with that win, 2 points behind the Sharks. Chicago won. Anaheim didn't play. Philadelphia lost. Montreal won. Arizona won, and Vancouver won. Arizona and Vancouver have kind of played their way out of tank contention. Montreal is a point out of 5th place, which is really kind of the sweet spot that you want to be in at this point in the season. If you're not going to make the playoffs, then you want to be in that bottom 5. So Montreal a point out of it. Philadelphia hanging in there. The Blue Jackets play Anaheim in a couple of days. I believe tomorrow they are off. The next day they play the Kings, and the day after that they play Anaheim. So Friday is going to be an interesting matchup, I think. Like I said, the interesting thing for Columbus is that they are done with a lot of these bottom feeder teams. So they don't play San Jose again. They don't play Chicago again. They are done with Arizona. They are done with Vancouver. They have, I think, 1 game left against Philadelphia. They've got the game on Friday against Anaheim, and I think they have 1 game left against Montreal as well. So it's looking pretty good. The Blue Jackets don't have too many of these games where if they win, they screw up their draft ranking. There's very few 4-point games left on the slate for them. They're mostly playing against teams that are kind of in the top half of the league. So, Pittsburgh, they've got games against Tampa still to play, against the Rangers, the Kings. They still got games against Toronto, Vegas, New Jersey, Carolina, Boston. Like, it's a tough schedule for the rest of the season. So I believe in their ability to maybe win some games and make it fun, but not too many, because I don't see them winning too many of the games that are left on the slate right now. Overall, I think it was a pretty successful night. What I wanted was either a regulation win an overtime win or a regulation loss. We got an overtime win. We gave San Jose a point. The Blue Jackets scored a bunch of goals. It was a fun experience, and we didn't do too badly in terms of ruining the tank. Like I said, San Jose is still 2 points ahead of us. The Blue Jackets do have 2 games in hand on the Sharks, but I'm not super worried. It really is kind of coming down to Anaheim, Chicago, San Jose, Columbus. Those are the big 4. I think Philadelphia will kind of hang around, maybe. I think Montreal will hang around, but it looks like Arizona, Vancouver kind of played themselves out of contention. Like St. Louis could be a late addition, but it's really only those 4 teams are kind of in the mix. Anaheim only has 12 regulation wins on the year. Columbus and Chicago have 15. San Jose has 14. So we'll see how it goes. Could be fun, could be not. We'll see what the Blue Jackets do as they face the Kings on Thursday. I would like the Blue Jackets to win that game, but I'm also not heartbroken if they don't. We will talk about that on Thursday's episode. This is all I've got for you today. Tomorrow is Thursday, so I guess we'll talk about it on tomorrow's episode. I forgot how the days work. We will be doing a second episode tomorrow. I sat down with a prospect expert, Joel Henderson from Locked On Puck Prep. Not Locked On Puck Preps, excuse me. I'm very tired. It's very late here. I sat down with Joel Henderson of Puck Preps, and we talked all about some WHL kids. So tomorrow, or later today, possibly, we will be talking about Zach Benson, who is another guy that is kind of slated to go in that top 5. I don't think he'll enter the top 3 discussion, but he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. So we're going to be talking about him. Really, really fun kid to talk about. Always great to talk to Joel. So that is going to be tomorrow or today. It's Tuesday evening when I'm recording this. It's fine. Please just accept this. We will do an episode later tonight, probably around 7 Eastern, if I can, and that'll be that episode. And then tomorrow we will talk all about the Los Angeles Kings, who this is the last game of the season against them. The Blue Jackets won, I believe that was a 6-5 overtime game or a 6-5 regulation game. It was like Jack Roslovic had 4 points or something stupid. Like, it was a really weird, stupid game. So hopefully more of the same for that. Maybe fewer goals for Tarasov. I don't know. But I'm sure it will be a fun one. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find this podcast at LO_Blue Jacket. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, or until later today, make sure you stay locked on.